You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we're so happy to have you with us. Today is Saturday, November 16, 2024. It's a Saturday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I am joined by Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call-Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon. We both love Central Indiana football. Welcome, Michelle, back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. We are here for, I guess, we'll be doing it 2 more times, but we are now officially out of local teams as we go through the regional field, all 24 of them, here in a moment. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All
right.
right. We may be out of like local teams, but there's still enough. There's still some area teams as far as like Hamilton County and New Palestine is not very far out of the area.
Right, we will adopt New Palestine and Westfield, and we'll talk about maybe a couple more and see if we can kind of follow those teams a little closer, which is what we did for soccer and volleyball. And so, all right, Michelle, we'll start in Class 6A. Speaking of Westfield, Field improved to 11-1 with a 42-28 win over Mudsock rival Fishers.
Well, that's not Mudsock rival for them.
Oh, well, county rival. Okay, let me say that again. Of course. I'm starting over completely. All right, Michelle, we start in Class 6A, where number 3 Westfield beat county rival Fishers 42-28 to advance to the semi-state. Westfield led 21-14 at the half. Fishers tied the game at 21 with 33 seconds left in the third. Westfield then scored 14 straight points. Carson Melvin had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. The go-ahead touchdown pass was to Bo Braun with 8:44 left. Then he had a 14-yard keeper with 2:36 left. And then after Fisher scored a touchdown, Deacon King went 49 yards with a minute left to seal it.
Yeah, that a rivalry game. It doesn't really surprise me that Westfield came out of it. I believe we both picked Westfield to win that game. Westfield's just got a really good thing going in their football program right now. It has for the last few years.
And Westfield will play at home against second-ranked and unbeaten Crown Point, which beat Fort Wayne Carroll 38-21 tonight, and Carroll was ranked 10th.
I don't think we were surprised either. I think we both picked Crown Point to win that. That should set up a heck of a semi-state next week, and it seems kind of weird to think that Westfield is going north.
No, Westfield's at home. Oh yeah,
No,
but Westfield's in the north. Yes.
I mean that they're in the north part of the state.
Yes, that's right.
At. So Westfield will be at home. Talk about it later, but I won't be surprised if the Shamrocks get by Crown Point, especially because the game is at Westfield.
Yeah, it's a game that there's not a lot of crossover in schedule, so I don't know if anybody knows what to expect in that one.
No, and I will say this: I think the team, when you're changing time zones, I think the host team has a bit of an advantage.
Definitely could, especially if it's a long trip. Especially if it's a long trip like that.
Yeah, and I only say that because when the Hoosier Conference went to divisions, and of course it's now Rensselaer and Tipton are in the same division because they went small school. But when Tipton was making that trip, you made it every year, whether it was football or girls basketball or boys basketball, you knew you were going to go up to Rensselaer once or twice. if you were at Tipton, and then they were going to come down here. And it always just seemed like sometimes those games, like even if you might be like better, there were years Tipton was better, and they would go up to Rensselaer, and the games would be tighter. But because you're playing for them, it's 7 o'clock there, it's 8 o'clock for you. And when you're hosting, it's a little bit different too, because now they're coming down instead of playing at 7 their time, they're actually kind of playing at 6 their time. So it's just, or no, I guess not. They'll move that game to 8, but I think it's easier. I think it's still easier to be at home and play at 8 than it technically is to go on the road and play at 8.
I'd like to see them play one of them on Saturday, but they'll never do that. Okay. In the South, it was actually 4 Indianapolis area schools. Brownsburg beat Lawrence North. Number 1 Lawrence North gave them their first loss of the season. Brownsburg scored with 13 seconds left, went for 2, and got the win for the regional championship.
That's big because Lawrence North had a chance. When they scored to go up, and they recovered a Brownsburg fumble late in the fourth quarter too, and but Brownsburg found a way to win. And give the coach his staff credit. I'm sure the players were all supportive of it. It's to go for 2. It's a gutsy call.
It's the right call every time.
Pardon?
It's the right call every time. If you have a chance to win the game from the 2-yard line, I think you take it every time.
Oh, I especially do because of the way high school overtime is. When it's 4 plays from the 10 in, it might be different if they started back if they started back farther, kind of like the college game. Then,
absolutely.
But they don't. And so I think it is the right call to go for 2.
Brownsburg's first regional championship since 1985. And they will play their first semi-state since 1985 at Center Grove, which beat number 5 Warren Central 23-15. As you kind of called, Center Grove dominated most of the game. They led 23-9 with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third. After Warren Central scored a touchdown to get within 8, the fourth quarter was scoreless. I'm a little surprised by that.
I'm not a whole lot surprised by that, because I will say this. I do think Center Grove not being in a football conference means they get to go play.
Yeah, but Brownsburg's schedule's just as good.
Oh, no. But I'm talking about like with the Warren Centrals and everything. And Center Grove doesn't soften their schedule by not
That's
being
what I
in the
meant.
conference. They'll go down and they'll play a good team from Kentucky or a good team from Ohio, or and that's what I'm getting at is that
the Warren Central. But the Warren Central plays a really good schedule too.
Yeah, but and so Center Grove, you have to look at sometimes you have to look, I think, at who they lost to and what the score. But I just thought Center Grove's experience, I think sometimes when you are especially in the bigger schools, I think sometimes that experience can be a big help to you. Your kids just know that, hey, we're going, and I don't think they know they've had success in the tournament, so I don't think they're worried if they've got a couple or maybe 3 losses during the regular season, because in the past they know they've been.
Here's what I saw. I saw Warren Central had shut out Snyder, shut out Warsaw, shut out North Central, shut out Lawrence Central, held Ben Davis to 7 points in regulation, held Carmel to 3 points, shut out Perry Meridian, shut out Tech. That's what I was looking at. Not. That's why I thought Warren Central would win that game.
Yeah, I said I don't know. The thing is, I just know both of those schools have a lot of talent, and I know that Center Grove, just from what I've followed on Twitter, I mean, let's face it. I mean, they've got some nice D1 prospects, even underclassmen that are being really recruited. And, of course, Warren Central does too, and that's what you get down there in that area when you're talking 6A. But it seems like Center Grove always has a decent amount of those kids being recruited, which, you know, um, it's pretty good for anymore for big
Yeah.
school, public school. You expect that a lot of times you expect some of the parochial schools will have high numbers of kids that are being recruited, maybe not necessarily Power Four conferences or necessarily
Right.
D1, but D2s and stuff. And
Sure.
so,
So it'll be number 4 Brownsburg at number 11 Center Grove next week. Brownsburg's 11-1, Center Grove 8-4.
great game, I think. I think it'll be a great game.
In Class 5A in the North, Lafayette Jeff's unbeaten season came to an end with a 44-27 loss to Warsaw. A safety on a bad snap on a punt gave Warsaw the lead with a minute left in the third quarter. Then a halfback pass on 4th and 6 went for a 20-yard touchdown to put Warsaw up 37-27 with 5:25 left. Jeff fumbled on the next drive, one of many Bronco miscues on the night.
Yeah, that's the one bad. That was the one thing you can't do in the postseason. Turnovers, they're game killers. I mean, because when you get to this level, you're not playing a slouch. So the more opportunities you give your opponent, you know, they're probably going to take advantage of it, and it's going to put you in a very bad spot, and it's going to be very hard to win.
So it will be number 3 Merrillville at number 9 Warsaw. Merrillville beat Valparaiso 44-14 to improve to 12-1. That should be a pretty good game. Merrillville at Warsaw.
I think so. It's not really that far of a journey for Maryville to have to make either. So
That'd be a really pretty drive. That's for sure. All right. In the South, number 4 North Decatur beat number 9 East Central. East Central's first loss in a long time in the postseason. That final score is 21-16. And Decatur Central will go to number 13 Bloomington South, which beat Castle 28-21.
Hey, so you see, you got that with Bloomington South at Decatur Central, Bloomington South. That should be a pretty good game, and it was a nice come from behind win for Decatur Central.
And I think that's going to be your state champion now. Decatur Central. That's my guess.
Okay. Wait,
all right. Yep, 5A.
It'll be interesting. I think Maryville will make it down there. I think it could be interesting.
I think it'll be Warsaw and Decatur Central, and Decatur Central is going to win. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't have a ton of faith in that. Just gut feeling. In 4A, we start in the South because number 1 New Palestine beat number 5 Chittard 28-21 in overtime. Jacob Davis had a touchdown run and a touchdown pass in the first half, and New Pal led 21-14 at halftime. After Chittard tied the game in the third quarter, it was scoreless in the fourth. Then on the first play of overtime, Josh Raines ran for a touchdown, and then Chittard's pass on 4th and goal was just out of reach, giving New Pal the regional championship, and I'm going to guess a state championship tonight. That might have been the state championship.
It might have been. Well, we kind of said all along. I forgot that Chittard was in their path.
Right.
I'm not gonna go back. I really do expect to see New Pal at Lucas Oil Stadium in the state finals.
Now for sure. That's what I expect. Okay. So next week it's number 3 Martinsville, which is 12-1 at number 1 New Pal. Martinsville led 27-7 before Wright scored 21 unanswered points to take the lead, but Martinsville scored with 20 seconds left to win the regional championship.
Yeah, that's a good win for Martinsville. They hadn't had one, I believe you said, since what, 1980 something or 90 something. It had been at least 30 years.
1996.
1996. Okay, so it'd been almost 30 years since they'd won a regional. So that's good for them. I'm happy for them. And good luck against New Pal, because I think Martinsville's going to need it.
I do believe that is the case. And in the North, I think we might know New Pal's opponent too. Number 2 East Noble beat Huntington North 52-17 on the road, and they're going to have to go on the road again for the semi-state at number 6 Mishawaka, which is 11-2 after beating New Prairie 21-7.
Yeah, how about that? I think it's the Caveman and East
right.
Noble, and I'm going to point out that thanks, because I had forgotten this until I saw Brian Gaskins, Kokomo Tribune sports editor, his tweet tonight, talking about that East Noble's coach this year is Alex Stewart, who has spent the past few years at Western, and Alex Stewart, I believe, came to Western after having coached at Northwestern. So, congratulations to Alex. I know he was always very accommodating to me if I ever needed anything from him, and always made time for me after the game for post-game interviews. So congratulations, Coach Stewart and East Noble, and good luck next week.
Yeah, we'll adopt East Noble just a little bit too for him. All right, Class 3A in the North. Garrett, number 4 Garrett, came from behind to beat Knox 41-40. Garrett's now 13-0. Knox ends at 8-5. Garrett had to come back to win that one. And the Railroaders, I love that name, by the way. 4th-ranked Railroaders will be at number 16 Lures. That won't be a very far drive. Lures is 9-4 after beating Mechaniquah 31-28. Mechaniquah's first loss of the season, of course.
Yeah, nice to see Mechaniquah gave Lures a game. Coach Caleb Small of Northwestern thought Mechaniquah could beat him, and he definitely thought they could play with him, and he turned out to be right. I give Mechaniquah coaching staff and the players a lot of credit, because they fell behind early, but they just kept battling the entire game and never let Lures get never let Lures really completely pull away there.
Yeah, Lures led the entire game, but it was close. They were never more than a touchdown ahead, except for late in the third quarter. They took a 24-14 lead, and then Mechaniquah got within 3 points, and that's where it ended. So really good team. That Mechaniquah team was really good this year.
Yes.
All right, in the South, Batesville outscored Tri-West 20-3 in the fourth quarter in a 41-37 win. And Batesville will be at 12-1 and third-ranked Heritage Hills next Friday. Heritage Hills beat North Harrison 50-7.
Well, I think Heritage Hills is kind of in the same category as New Pal, and nice win by Batesville. But I think Heritage Hills will be making a trip to Lucas Oil over Thanksgiving weekend as well.
Sure looks like the class of the field, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, they do. Yes, Heritage Hills does.
The Heritage Hills looks like the team to beat. All right, Class 2A. Lafayette Central Catholic's unbeaten run came to an end with a 20-17 loss at home to Andrean. Andrean took the lead on a 16-yard touchdown run with 7:34 left. Central Catholic junior quarterback Bobby Metzger had 2 touchdown passes, but threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, that's can hurt you at times, and just again, you just cannot afford turnovers in the postseason. You got to play clean.
Especially this late in the postseason.
Yes, especially this late in the postseason. Congratulations to Central Catholic on a on a really good season. I know it came up short from what they wanted or their expectations. But they lost. You're talking about a Central Catholic team that's had phenomenal success and multiple state championships in Class A. And you're talking about an Andrean team that's had a lot of football success too. I think most of Andrean's success has come in Class 3A, and now they're down in 2A. So it's it was what it is, and then
Yep.
I shouldn't say what it is. It's two good programs going head to head, and gave fans what you should expect when you have that, and that was a good close game.
And Andrean will be at home against number 4 Adams Central. Adams Central beat Eastern 8-5, ending Eastern's season after their first sectional championship last week. Eastern tied the game at 7-7. Gibson Eagles 32-yard touchdown pass to Bentley Hollinger right before halftime. It was 7-7 at halftime. But then Adams Central outscored the Comets 14-0 in the third quarter and 14-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I watched some of that game on IHSA Network, and then it booted me. It booted me off a little bit. I'm not really sure exactly when. Then it wouldn't load. I couldn't load it again, so I stopped watching, and then I just followed on Twitter. Eastern. Both teams were couldn't really mount much of anything in the first quarter. Eastern put together a drive in the second quarter. They were had a 4th and 2, and they were going for it, and they had a false start penalty, backed them up 5. So they elected to attempt a 38-yard field goal by Owen Toll, and the field goal was, I think it was partially deflected up the middle. Watching it, I just felt like maybe it was rushed a little bit. I'm guessing after Tipton blocked those PATs last week, and knowing that I know they'd worked on their coverage, but then knowing that Adams Central has good special teams too. But anyway, Adams Central took over, and then they drove down and scored, but Eastern answered. And but on Adams Central's drive, Eastern's defense put them in a 3rd and 15 situation with a pair of running back sacks, and their quarterback, Adams Central's quarterback, who's not super big, he just dropped back and he laid a really perfect pass in and got a first down. And then later the quarterback had a nice run on the keeper, and then they scored on a run up the middle, which I think running up the middle for probably 19, 20 yards. I think that's hard to do against Eastern's defense because it's stout inside, and I think it kept Adams Central at bay. And then I'm going to guess at halftime some adjustments were made by Adams Central and probably tweaked a few things, and then just their experience and everything just probably took over. And once they got ahead, then Eastern has to change what they want to do.
And in the South, Lapel's run came to an end with a 35-0 loss to 3-time defending Class A champion Indianapolis Lutheran, which will be playing in its first Class 2A semi-state next week at home against number 7 Linton Stockton, which defeated number 1 Brownstown Central, which came in 12-0, 22-21.
Yeah, I hate it for Lapel. I hate to see their fantastic season come to an end. Again, good team. We talked with Rob Hunt on that.
It's coming up in just a second.
Yes, and one of the key things for Lapel, a couple things that we were talking about. They really couldn't afford turnovers. They had a pick six that the Lutheran defensive back, according to Rob, made a great play on, and then they suffered Hudson. They're really really good senior athlete, wide receiver, got dinged in the first half, and not only a good wide receiver, but a good DB too, and I'm sure that took a toll on the Bulldogs. But I guess from now the kids that are coming back know what they need to do, work on in the off season, because their path, I'm sure, will have to go next year if they want to go. Probably have to go through Lutheran again. So.
And not coincidentally, joining us now is Rob Hunt of the Herald-Bulletin, who had Lapel's loss to a team that's won, 22 consecutive postseason games now?
Something like that. This senior class has never lost one. Obviously, they had a 45-game winning streak snapped by Triton Central earlier this year. They've now won 10 in a row since, so that's 55 out of the last 56 games.
Yeah.
That they won. If that's math being done in my head quickly, and that's not always a smart thing to do.
Something around there, Rob.
Yeah.
And the final
we
score
talked a lot about it. Go ahead.
And the final score is 35-0, but it was competitive most of the game, right?
Yeah, they kind of got away there at the end. Lapel hit some plays, but then they would shoot themselves in the foot, a penalty, a turnover, a sack. There were a lot of sacks, and get behind the chains. They actually ran the ball pretty well. Jack Miller ran the ball quite nicely. His dad, Coach Tim Miller, was surprised that they ran the ball as well as they did. So they had some things, but they just couldn't finish drives. And let's face it, Lutheran's really good. They're where they are and what they've done for a reason. They're big, they're fast, they're strong. And Lapel, we talked a lot about that postseason run, right? I mean, you went 3 straight games against 9-win teams, which is a remarkable accomplishment. I'm not going to diminish that at all. But this Lutheran team is a different matter than what they already done.
Yes, sir, obviously. I thought they might win this game, and Lutheran was the real deal.
Yeah, there was a buzz. I think there was some excitement in Lapel. I thought that maybe this was a team that had that kind of explosiveness that could play with a Lutheran team, but they couldn't protect Devin Craig. I mean, he got sacked 10 times, and that's not counting all the times he was pressured, that he had to run. He was running for his life and had to throw the ball away. That was a very impressive defensive performance. I could definitely see this Lutheran team winning a 2A title this year.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have said that even though Lutheran and Adams Central both moved up to 2A, there are a lot of people that think the two could be playing for a 2A title this year after playing the last few years in Class A.
That's right. I don't think you may be super surprised by that.
Yeah, I think Michelle said it before the season even began when we talked about teams moving up. I think she said, well, don't be surprised if it's those two again in 2A. So.
Yeah, a little bit of disappointment in Lapel, too, because as it happened, Linton won their game.
Yes, they did.
Against the undefeated Brownstown, which would have meant Lapel would have been hosting a semi-state, but they were a long way from that. That was the kind of thing to talk about before the game, but once Lutheran kind of flexed their muscle, that was a pipe dream.
Rob, I saw your tweet where the Hudson boy was injured for a while. Did he make it back in the game?
He actually did, and that's the kid has a ton of heart. I mean, he made a catch. It was a kind of a crossing pattern. He got upended. His legs kind of went up in the air, and he was down for a minute and came off. Spent the rest of the first half really sitting on the bench. They put a coat on him. He talked to the trainer who worked with him a little bit. He came out at halftime, and he had his helmet on. And he basically spent the entire third quarter kind of jogging up and down the sideline behind the bench, trying to loosen up. And he did get on the field there at the end. Didn't get his hands on the ball. And it was obvious he was not 100%. He was slow getting back to the huddle a couple times. But I got to respect the kid. His final game, it was obvious by that point it was going to be his final game, and he wanted to finish it on the field, so to speak. So. Got to hand it to him. Yeah, that was a tough loss. That's a playmaker out of the lineup, but I don't know that makes that big a difference. I don't think it changes the outcome of the game, but it certainly would have made a little bit of a difference in what they could have done offensively.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe it makes it a little tighter because, you lose a kid like that. And I think sometimes it can deflate the other players.
Yeah, we talk a lot about his offense. He helps them defensively, too. He's a good defensive back. He's just a playmaker. And maybe they are able to finish a drive and go into the locker room down 1 score instead of 2. Or, I'm sorry, 2 scores instead of 3. Does that change the second half? Probably a little bit. But like I said, I don't know that changes the ultimate outcome, but certainly tip of the cap to that kid. He's a great kid, great athlete. We're going to see him play some baseball in the spring. He's really good at that too. Really good athlete, good kid. Good to see him at least be able to finish the game on the field.
Yeah, I know Greg and I, when we were going over the games yesterday, we talked about for LaPel to win, and he thought they would. I thought they had a shot. I thought Lutheran would win, just a lot to do with their experience. And but I said LaPel could win, but they would have to play a clean game, no turnovers, not shoot themselves in the foot with costly penalties and things like that. And then I said, and they really couldn't afford for a key player to get injured either.
Right. And all those things happen. They turned it over a couple times. One was just an amazing play by the one that the pick six by the Mills kid was a brilliant. I mean, he kind of deflected it, and then he reached down. He's a tall kid too. He's got to be 6'3", 6'4". So he knocks the ball down and then reaches down and catches it right before it touches the ground. So it was a pretty impressive play, and he took it back to the end zone for a touchdown. That was a tough moment, but. So there were some penalties in there. The other part about Hudson was he's also their punter, but they didn't really get hurt there because then I can't remember the young man's name who came in, kicked the ball really well.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a pretty good punt. They got the punting situation solved for next year too. But I think there's more to the emotional confidence thing with him not on the field hurt the rest of the team.
Rob, don't want to keep you much longer because it's been a long night, and I'm going to go see my nephew play at Indiana State tomorrow, so I got to get up early. But tell me, that's a pretty young team, right? LaPel should be really good again next year.
It is. They lose kids like Hudson and Carson Kinsinger, who's a giant offensive lineman. Hayden Shear's another lineman that they lose. They're going to lose some players to graduation, but they're really talented in their younger classes. Of course, Greg will be back at quarterback. Jack Miller is part of that really standout sophomore class. They'll be back. So
Jackson Kripe is an elite athlete.
Jackson Kripe's part of that. Really, he has a couple of really nice plays tonight. Jaden Lindsay is a junior. He's going to be back. They've got some playmakers who will be back. And from what they tell me, the pipeline is looking good. And I even heard one coach of another sport say that LaPel is basically a football school. Basketball is on the decline, and LaPel is basically a football school.
And in Class A, probably the class that we're most interested in tonight, since we had 2 teams in this one, but both were eliminated tonight in blowout losses. Number 1, North Judson improved to 13-0 with a 70-6 win over Taylor. North Judson led 54-0 at halftime.
That biggest score shocks me. It doesn't surprise me North Judson won, and it doesn't surprise me they won by more than 1 or 2 scores, but 70-6 is shocking.
Yes, it is. And number 1, North Judson will host South Adams, which beat North Miami 40-21 at home. South Adams led 20-0. Then North Miami got within 20-14 at halftime. But then South Adams outscored them 13-0 in the third quarter to clinch it. Michelle, I saw South Adams the first week of the season. That did not look like a regional champion to me.
Yeah, but you're right. But you did see a team that came back on Tipton in the second half, playing that no huddle, and but South Adams, again, you saw a team that had to replace their quarterback from a year ago and some other key pieces. And, I think they are coming together at the right time. I think the thing with South Adams is you have to be prepared to play 4 complete quarters because they they're going to play 4 complete quarters, and and they're not going to believe they're out of the game. So if you get up, you better keep your your foot to the pedal, or your foot on their throats, however they say that, and not let up or not think you got it won, and or alter your game plan. Stay with what's kind of gotten you successful a little, gotten you that lead. Should be a good game. I won't be surprised if South Adams pulls off an upset. I think because of the style of their play. At the same time, I could see North Judson also winning. I just don't think, I could be wrong, Greg, but I would say 14 points would be the biggest spread there as far as a final score.
I'll take North Judson by 35.
By what's that? By how much?
35.
35?
35.
I
think they're that good.
Yeah, but I think it's really hard to win by 35 come the semi-state. And I think South Adams is a much better team than Taylor.
Oh, well, that's for sure. But, yeah, we'll see. But I think North Judson will dominate from start to finish.
Yeah, I will say this. That's all right. And go North Judson. Tipton's former mayor, Tom Dolzel, is a North Judson graduate. And
Okay.
Christy, his wife Christy is my youngest sister's best friend and has always been like a little sister to me and their family. So I'm sure that Tom is happy to see his alma mater doing so well this season.
The Blue Jays versus the Starfires.
I know,
All
and
right.
that's kind of neat and unique.
It is. I love it. All right. Providence won its first regional championship since 1993 with a 28-10 win over Milan. It was number 3 Providence's second win over Milan this year. Providence will host number 6 South Putnam, which beat Sheridan 60-19, South Putnam's first regional championship since 2002.
Yeah. Congratulations to South Putt. It's nice for them. I'm happy to, just to see them having their success. I hate it for Bud Wright and Sheridan because I like Bud. He's one of the my most favorite people I've gotten to know through my years in this job. He
has won a little bit, though.
What's that?
He has won a little bit, though.
That was what I was getting at. He has won a little bit. He's had his fair share.
Nobody feels sorry for Bud Wright tonight, Michelle.
It's kind of nice to see new players step up and have it. And
plus, they don't have a lot of seniors. They are very junior dominated, so that will be interesting to see what they do next year.
Yes. So it's great, and I'll say go South Putt. I don't make any bones about that. I always like to see the public schools advance on. I'm still, my biggest thing, and it's for another day, I'm only going to say this, my only hardship with parochial schools is they get to control their enrollment, and that's the only problem I have.
Okay, this is Providence's first regional championship since 1993. It's not the same situation as Cathedral and Roncalli and Chittard. And
no, it's not.
Okay.
But my guess is they still have, for those boys, I'm going to guess they still probably have a high percentage of their student enrollment are in extracurricular, in athletics.
Well, absolutely. All right, Michelle, we had a new guest on tonight. Codey Emerson is from the Banner Graphic in Greencastle, and he and I have a mutual friend and have been talking about getting him to come on the Central Indiana Sports Report, and tonight we finally were able to do that. He was at South Putnam's win over Sheridan. Here is Codey Emerson from the Banner Graphic. Michelle and I talked to him earlier tonight.
Welcome to the Central Indiana Sports Report to Codey Emerson of the Banner Graphic, covering tonight South Putnam and Sheridan. Welcome to the podcast, Codey.
Thank you, Greg, for having me. I know we've been trying to get together for quite a while, but now I'm finally glad that we can make it work.
Yeah, and I hope you become a regular.
Hey, appreciate it.
And it looked like tonight you had you have a serious team on your hands.
Yeah, South Putnam is, I mean, the dominant postseason march continues. And this was their stiffest test yet in a Sheridan team that, I mean, they're obviously not the Sheridan teams of, state title caliber, but it's still a team that knows how to win in the postseason. And it was going to be Sheridan's toughest test, South Putnam's toughest test. And the game couldn't have started any better for South Putnam. They get on the very first offensive play a 70-plus yard touchdown run from Ty Benton, who had himself a career night. And then on the very next play for Sheridan, they get an interception and then another one-play touchdown. Their first 3 scores, I believe, were one-play drives, which has basically been the norm. Now for this team in the postseason, they just have athletes. They have athletes and they have speed on basically every skill position. And it's a team that if they continue to play, if they play this well, I mean, I've covered South Putnam the last couple weeks, covered their sectional championship last week, and covered their semifinal a couple weeks ago. If they continue to play this well, I expected them to probably win tonight, as did most people, I think, but I don't think many people expected the final score, which was 60-19. It was just a downright shellacking.
Yeah, and that doesn't, occasionally that doesn't happen to Sheridan very often to get whipped from the get-go. They might have a game where things get away from them a little bit because they fall behind, and then they may make turnovers because they're forced to go to the air, something that they don't like. That's their passing game has improved the past couple of years, but it's nothing they rely on.
Yeah, and it's against South Putnam. You've got to be able to. Teams have tried these last couple weeks. Riverton Park tried it in the championship game to use a run-heavy style offense to keep them off because that's one of the ways you have to probably try and game plan to beat the South Putnam teams. You got to keep that offense off the field. The one problem is they can score. They've shown it. They can score in literally one play. So you want to take time off the clock and keep them off the field as much as you can. But on the flip side of that, you have to be assignment sound. And Sheridan tried to load the box a little bit. And when Ty Ben broke the first tackle, there wasn't anybody in the second level, and he was able to just race past everybody. A little bit of tallies for Mr. Ben tonight, unofficially, but we had him here at the banner for 15 carries for 326 yards and 6 touchdowns, 333. Whoa. Sorry, my editor's over here. We're still doing some work tonight. But South Putnam is just, like I said, they have playmakers all over. And it was Ty Benton's night. He has been getting better as the postseason goes along. So you just have to, I guess, pick your poison with them. Are you going to stop the run? All right, then they can beat you with their athletes through the air. Quarterback Wyatt Mullen just throws such a beautiful pass. He's got great receivers in Wyatt Switzer and Branson Enzer on the outside. They are a team that, they're going to have to make a trip to Providence next week for the semi-state.
Yeah, if you thought this was their biggest test this week, it's nothing compared to next week.
Yeah, and they know that. And South Putnam knows that they will be tested even because you have to go on the road. It's got to be a hostile environment, obviously, and you're playing for a berth at Lucas Oil. But this, I tell you what, Greg, this is a confident team. They believe that they can go and play against anybody and win against anybody. They've put up, I think Providence put up 28 tonight. I'd probably bet that they're going to have to score maybe more. We'll have to see, because I just have not South Putnam has basically played probably what they would call one bad game, and they're 11-2. They have a 1-point loss to rival North Putnam, but since then they've been steamrolling. They played a Lutheran team earlier this year, so they know what it's like to go up against great competition. So they know what it's going to take to get to Lucas Oil, and it's going to take a good team to stop it.
On them, right? At the semi-state?
Yes. Yeah, Providence, they obviously undefeated, and I think they're second in Class A. So it's going to be a great game next week.
They're unbeaten and play a really tough schedule, and but I'm not sure they've seen a team as good as South Putnam.
And that's, I think, Coach Chuck Sorrell he's like I said, he's about, and not only he breeds confidence, and that confidence goes over to his players. They believe that they're just, like I said, so balanced. If you're going to take away the run, they can beat you deep. If you're going to take away the pass, Ty Ben showed what he can do tonight and what he can do, honestly, throughout the postseason. And the best part about this is, for South Putnam, most of their skill position guys, you have Wyatt Mullen, who's a senior, you have Wyatt Switzer, who's a senior. They're really senior-led on the line. But most of these guys, you look at Branson Enzer, sophomore. You look at Ty Ben, sophomore. And so these are guys that are doing this as sophomores, so it's a scary thing that South Putnam's building.
Long drive for the semi-state.
Yeah, but when you get to this point, South Putnam will gladly take that drive. If it means playing for a berth in Lucas Oil, because I think that, it's just a really great team. And it's going to be a great matchup next Friday. Providence is, obviously we don't, at the Barron Graphic, don't know a ton about Providence. We'll do our due diligence this week.
I may have seen the Pioneers play once or twice. I was the sports editor there for 10 years, so.
Yeah, it's just going to be a great game next Friday. And I'm looking forward to it, because this team, the 60 was a season high. And what they've done in the postseason, I could just rattle off a couple scores. Not only are they beating teams, they are absolutely dismantling teams. They've won games 49-0, 32-0, 59-6, 58-7, 38-0, and in the sectional, 54-7, 53-20, and then they beat Riverton Park last week 44-6. And then I think this was the most dominant they've been all postseason, considering the opponent. And Sheridan, obviously, resulted in a 60-19 final score.
Now, not myself, I don't know anything about Providence either. I do know South Putnam wins. They will face the winner of North Judson and South Adams. And what I know about South Adams is they are a pretty good passing team, and they like to play a no huddle. And has South Putnam, up tempo? Has South Putnam played anybody like that?
Not really. I think because the game plan for most teams, and at least what they've seen in the postseason, is they really want to run the ball. Riverton Park last week would take it. They did this on their opening drive. They took the play clock almost down to 1 second before they snapped the ball. So South Putnam, I don't think, seen a team that likes to go fast-paced. So we'll see. That would be I think South Putnam has the athletes. That's what stands out, is they have athletes at every just great position. You talk about linebacker, safety, running back, receiver. They just have guys who can get it done. I don't think they really care what style they play. Obviously, their offense is more of a we're going to beat you with big plays. But I think they could go down and on a team and maybe take a couple, 3, 4, 5 minutes off the clock. We'll see. But if you're going to beat South Putnam, you're going to have to, in my opinion, be able to put up points.
Yeah, well, South Adams can do that. I think what they like to do, I think one of the reasons they like to play that up tempo is to not let the defense, no huddle, not to let the defense sub, and not to let, make them have to communicate, not be able to huddle up themselves and make them have to communicate, and so, because I believe they think they can put up points too. And the another thing about South Adams is they've been behind early in games and come back to either make them close or to win. Their record now, I know they have to beat North Judson to
First
make
of all, Michelle, you're getting ahead of yourself. Second of all, they are not.
I know. I'm anxious to see.
They are
I would
not
really like
beating
to know.
North Judson. They are not beating North Judson.
They read the North Judson score at halftime. It was at one point during the game, and I don't know the final score off the top of my head, but it was like 50. North Judson's had like 55-0 or whatever.
I will say this, Greg, and I know. But we don't know what Taylor. I mean, we know what they've done, but they've never been in this spot before.
It has nothing to before this score. The scores have been so impressive for North. Now they don't during the regular season don't quite play the schedule, but they've just beaten everybody. And if I'm certain about anybody coming out of one, I'm certain that North Judson's coming out of the north of Class A.
All right. I don't know what kind of offense they run. I just know that, I just would not. I would not. I think that'll be a good game. I don't think you can look at the scores in the north and kind of and say and different things. But it will be interesting. The
running joke we were talking about was if it is. If South Putnam's able to get past Providence and North Judson's able to get past South Adams, it might be a race to 100 for whoever wins the state title, because that sounds like, obviously both offenses can just score at will.
All right, Cody,
of course, the funny thing is you can see that and go down to the state finals, and I know I've seen it. What you sometimes will expect will be a high-scoring game turns out to be a low-scoring dogfight.
Right.
Games that you think are going to be are going to be a low-scoring dogfight turn into either high-scoring shootouts or a blowout.
Yeah, you never know at this point in the year, and I think, like I said, we're out to do our due diligence on Providence, but I've at least people here in Greencastle, and rightfully so, are riding high on South Putnam, and they've got a really good shot, I think, to play for a state title here in 2 weeks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope they do, because I am one that really likes to see a lot of public schools at Lucas Oil on Thanksgiving weekend.
Absolutely.
Agreed. All right. Thanks so much, Cody. I hope Cody will join us later in the week to talk about the semi-state matchup.
Absolutely.
You'll have more information for us on Providence.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to do.
Okay, Michelle, I'm going to go through the semi-states again. Give me a 1 or 2 sentence thought on each one. Number 2, Crown Point is at number 3, Westfield in the 6A North.
Should be a good game. I just think Westfield's experience will help them, and the fact the game is at their place.
6A South is number 4, Brownsburg at number 11, Center Grove.
I think another great game. Center Grove has the experience, but this could be Brownsburg's year.
Sure looks like it could be. All right, in the 5A North, we have number 3, Merrillville at number 9, Warsaw. Man, that should be a great one.
Yeah, that should be a great one. Of course, it's still hard for me to think of football in Warsaw.
It really is. It was like Logansport this year.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to put it together. And Huntington North.
Yes.
All right, 5A South Semi-State. Number 4, Decatur Central is at number 3, Bloomington South.
I think Decatur Central is pretty good. Coming back tonight will help them again, of course, Bloomington South won, and right now football is, you could say Bloomington is a hotbed for football right
That's
now.
right. Bloomington
So
is a
who knows?
hotbed. In the 4A South, number 3 Martinsville at number 1 New Palestine.
Good luck, Artesians, because you're going to need it. New Pal, I
Agree.
I don't believe in looking ahead, but everybody, your boosters, go ahead and secretly block off your or order your T-shirts.
And I believe good luck, Cavemen. You're going to need it because number 2 East Noble is at number 6 Mishawaka.
Yes. Yeah.
They sure look like the team to beat to me.
Yes. Yeah.
East Noble.
East Noble's pretty good. I'm looking forward to hopefully we can get with Josh Sigler, Tipton graduate who lives up in Mishawaka now, loves football, has seen the Caveman play some games this year, and I think he might have a good idea of just what to expect.
Also a cool nickname. In the 3A North, we have number 4 Garrett at number 16 Lures.
Yeah, can never count out Lures. Their experience is just is what it is. I would expect a dogfight though. I think Garrett's the real deal, and Connequa gave Lures a run for its money, and I really believe that Garrett can do the same. I don't think Lures can just show up and win.
And the 3A South is Batesville at number 3 Heritage Hills.
Okay, Heritage Hills, same thing as with New Pal. Kind of order your T-shirts, and
That's
everything.
right.
Just don't tell the kids you're doing that.
Correct. In the 2A North Semi-State, it's a good one. Number 4 Adams Central at Andrean.
Oh, that will be a really good one. Should be, really good, and I think that they're kind of alike because I think both programs are run heavy. So it should be a great matchup.
And in the 2A South, number 7 Linton at number 3 Lutheran.
Yeah, Lutheran again. We're pretty good. Could have Adams Central and Lutheran, the 2A state finalists the past few years. Class A, and they could be the 2A state finalists this year. But Linton's had success before itself. I get in Class A itself. So, and hey, their win tonight was pretty impressive.
That's 3 programs that are known for Class A success.
Yes.
In 2A. All right, and then Class A North is South Adams at number 1 North Judson.
I think it's going to be. I think it'll be a good game, and I won't be. North Judson, I'm sure, will be favored. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't expect more than 14-point margin, and I know you do. And if it is more than 14, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked. I just think South Adams offers something offensively, the style sometimes they play with that's hard to emulate in practice if you don't do that or don't do it often.
I think that's absolutely true, but I just think North Judson's the class of the field. And the last one is the Class A South. Number 6 South Putnam at number 3 Providence. Again, no crossover there. No idea what to expect in that one.
No, except when we talked to your friend or your
Codey Emerson, yeah.
Codey, yeah. When we talked to Codey Emerson, he's talked about how South Putt is just really, really fast. And having covered high school football for a long time when those smaller schools, Mike Toll also used to say this: speed kills. And if South Putt has the speed, if they're faster than Providence, I would say this is South Putt's game.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but Providence has pretty good athletes in their school. They've been winning state championships in every sport but football for the last decade and a half. So.
Right, but I mean speed as far as, but it's different when you put. That's why I always say it's different when you're wearing pads. There's speed in those. That's why I hate those combines, because they do those things and there's no pads and they're in shorts.
But Providence is 12-0. They obviously have good athletes. Is my point.
Oh yeah, but you're not saying that. I said speed, and you can be a good athlete. I'm just saying if they can't match South Putt's speed across the board, then that's an advantage to South Putt. And it sounds like for South Putt, that's their strength is
Yes.
teams have a hard time matching up with their speed across the board.
Thanks to Michelle for helping me out, as always. And thank you to Rob Hunt and Codey Emerson for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. We hope to have Eastern head coach Josh Edwards and Kokomo Tribune sports editor Brian Gaskins with us for Tuesday's Football Week in Review. And thanks most of all to you for listening. Please, please, please go like, subscribe, or follow us on whatever platform you're using right now. And please, please, please leave a 5-star review. And please, please, please tell a friend. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. Oh, Susie.